Yesterday, I went on a little bit of a tirade, a stern talking to, not a self flagellation. In the past, if I had seen what an error I'd made or how off the path I'd gotten, I would have really severely chastised myself. And now I know that that actual that um, being very cruel and exacting to oneself is actually self-indulgent because it's congratulating the victim. And so when you're like, wow, that was far off the path, being compassionate and gently guiding yourself back to the path and say, so what, now what? That is the far more constructive way to deal with those things. And so I see in retrospect how I had built up really strong reserves. And I feel like maybe what's coming through is there was a bit of a hibernation. I allowed myself to grieve. I allowed myself to literally hibernate and hold up and not exert a lot of energy. I stopped moving my body like I used to. And I wonder if that's what I needed to do, that kind of physical stillness to let these really strong feelings of grief rip through me. And they numbed me a little bit. And so what happens is that affects all of your relationships when you are in a state of disconnection. And I was a little bit aware of it, but I didn't speak it out loud. So, what happens when you disconnect from yourself and you are in union is, of course, your partner senses that. And whether or not they choose to call it out, the disconnection in the union is inevitable. It's inevitable. How can it not be? If you're being honest with each other, how can you not feed off each other's energy? Not what you're saying, but what you are emitting. So, I reassigned myself yesterday to, rather than drawing from the embers that really didn't have a lot left, I have reassigned myself and re-devoted myself to building the fire every day with a tiny piece of kindling. This is a song that I have sung since the beginning of this channel, is that it's the transparent layers that turns into bricks of gold. And I forgot my own lesson. And that's like a central lesson of my life. Now, I didn't quit everything, but I quit enough. I quit the thing that makes me centered, which is body movement first thing in the morning. And I'm not judging why I got away from it. I think it was a necessary season, perhaps. But the realization for me is I am more focused, I am more directed, and I am more productive when I make the effort to feel more tired at the end of the day because I moved my body. One of the reasons I passionately believe in the body of truth is that if you are deeply in touch with your body, it will tell you everything that may be bothering you that you're not ready to know about yet. It may come in the form of a physical symptom. It may come in the form of just a feeling of upset that you can't identify. But whatever the case is, you start to feel out of alignment. And I knew I wasn't clear and I knew I was a little empty, but I chose not to know why. And now I see that whatever kind of miasma I needed to go through, it always needs to come back to the body. The body here on earth is how we manifest. So let's call the earth here 3D, right? And I've spoken about this before. 4D is actually where the planet is now. So if you're in a state of real anxiety, disconnect, disruption, probably your soul and spirit is and body is trying to get to 4D, but you don't have a path to get there. And a shortcut to get there, both as a mirror for yourself and will give you tools is a spiritual community, because it's the community together being each other's mirror that would allow you the bridge from 3 to 4 to 4 to 3 to 3 to 4. And then 5 is that divine dimension where there is no separation and you are at one with God. There is true unity. There is true unity with all of us. It's kind of like the truth of the quantum universe, right? So we are all entangled. Think about it in terms of 5 degrees of separation, right? We're all entangled because we bump into someone that's bumped into someone else. And we are all a tiny example of what's going on universally. So, with that said, it behooves me to stoke that fire every day so that the people that I entangle with enlighten themselves. And I don't mean I'm enlightening them, I mean that they light up themselves, because that kind of energy is just contagious. It's not something I'm giving them, I'm just being the mirror to what they already possess. And that is a different place than I've been. I haven't been a vacuum, but I haven't been a fount and a source of even my own energy. So moving forward, I apply myself to the absolute core basics, moving my body every day, praying and meditating every day, reading something that's meaningful, and how does that come through in my purpose every day, and reaching out to the people that are that make me who I am every day. And if those applications every day add up to a roaring fire of energy and passion, and I'm going to work my way back there. And that's what's come up for me today. So the question I leave you with is, let's look at these areas. Well, let's go back because I covered a lot. So let's look at your union. Let's look at your union. Are you in a state of connection? And if there is a state of disconnection, are you first and foremost disconnected from yourself? Chances are you are. Or your partner is disconnected from themselves, because if there's a disconnect, probably that person isn't emitting from their core, or you are not emitting from your core. And it's probably likely, if you've been together any amount of time, mutual, because partners are also each other's mirrors. So I ask you today, what is the state of your union if you are in one? And that's what comes up for me today. And I will see you tomorrow.